everyone. This is Mary Larson from NAMM and the NAMM Foundation. It is Monday, September 30th. And if it's Monday, September 30th, I think we're in
Lansing, Michigan,
right,
I believe.
This is Ryan from the John Lennon bus. Great to see you again.
Great to see you too.
Yes, just a quick update. We converge with the Lennon bus on their national tour with High School Nation.
Absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about what High School Nation is and what happens on that tour.
You know, it's so cool. I mean, these kids, you know, every day they go through their lives in the education system, and then this High School Nation shows up, and for 2 hours they have a bunch of bands show up at their high school, take over. They get to get art, paint, they get hands-on. There's a bunch of like the Gibson buses out there. They get to experience all these instruments and also like get to have bands come to their school and have a real fun experience at their lunchtime. So we've also had a photo booth out there. Students have been able to take photos that are going out to our Facebook page and our Instagram and all of that. So it's been such an incredibly fun and engaging place to be with these kids.
You know, I saw it last time we were in Decatur High School, Central High School in Indiana. If those people are watching us, hello, we love being there. I saw the whole High School Nation experience. I went and kind of walked the grounds, and it's remarkable how much music is going on in High School Nation. Yeah. The Gibson bus is there, Guitar Center is there, the Monster Stage is there, Ernie Ball Guitars. It's really incredible, and they're all set up to be hands-on music-making stations. It's just really great.
They're really dedicated to getting all the kids as interactive as possible. You know, this is not something that they just come and the students stand there. They're supposed to be engaged and really a part of the whole experience.
I think it's really great that school administration principals have encouraged this. And so how many cities altogether at High School Nation?
We're doing 19 different cities across the nation.
And we've done 4 with you.
Yes,
in addition to
some of the other ones.
The San Diego on September 10th. This is our 3rd. And our next stop will be?
We're going to be in Detroit.
You're in Detroit, and then you go from there to Chicago? No.
Boston.
Boston?
Yeah, and just so on and on and on. You can see all of it on the lennonbus.org/schedule.
And then we'll doing our next community forum this Thursday from Pittsburgh, and Friday we'll be in Philadelphia again with the John Lennon bus. You know, I just have admired our crew. Maybe at our last forum we can bring the whole crew on camera so everyone can see. And also, when they come into a setting like this, they're engaging students in actually the setup and in testing camera, testing audio. It's just really great. And the crew is just wonderful. And they're behind the cameras now, so I'm waving at them. And just what great spirits and energy they bring to this whole thing.
And it's also so nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Energy.
But it's so great because, you know, the students get a chance to get engaged with the gear, and I mean they're taking pictures of us right now. You know, it's one of those things that because we're able to have the technology and they get the access to it, I mean it's such a fun collaborative experience that we get to provide with the students.
Right.
So.
Well, we'll let you get back to work. Go out and make sure we're live.
I will.
All right.
Thank you so much.
I'd like to invite onto our little pre-forum interview someone who has been so helpful in getting us organized here in Lansing. This is Barb Whitney. She's the program officer for the Greater Arts Council of Greater Lansing. Forgive me, a lot of communities, a lot of names of organizations. Absolutely. You can hear in the background we have the Everett High School Jazz Band playing out in the hall. Folks are gathering.
It's quite wonderful.
So I think we made a connection via email, which is how a lot of people are making connections through our good friends at Americans for the Arts.
That's right.
So, and I thank you so much for gathering folks and telling people about this. What is the role of the Arts Council in Lansing?
Thank you. The Arts Council of Greater Lansing, our mission is to lead, advocate for, and advance the arts in the capital region. And since March, we've been regularly convening our arts and cultural agencies. In part, at first, what we wanted to do is educate ourselves regarding best practices for arts education advocacy in this particular situation. And so Americans for the Arts has just been pivotal in finding out best practices and moving forward with our dialogue regarding how to best advocate. The Arts Council also recently came out with a statement regarding arts education and the benefits to students, which I'm sure you're well aware of. But in terms of attrition, it helps students to stay in school, to succeed in school, to succeed in work, and to succeed in life. And I think that's very powerful.
Absolutely. For those of you who don't know, Americans for the Arts is our nation's advocacy. Yeah, we're giving you a big cheer for the jazz band out in the hall. It's great. Americans for the Arts is our nation's advocacy organization, really leads the charge for NEA funding, and has built a network of people around the country that are working on this locally. Do you go to Washington for their Arts Advocacy Day?
We did not this year, but have plans to in the future. We went this year to the conference in June in Pittsburgh, and felt like it would be a really great opportunity to dialogue with other leadership within the arts community, and it was. I have to give a shout out to Kristen Engebretson and Eric Rome at Americans for the Arts. They've just been tremendous in terms of resources, reports, telling us about other situations and where they've overcome difficulty in terms of arts advocacy and how we might best move forward. It's been
great,
really
and
amazing.
I proudly will say that Eric Rome is our steering committee for the Support Music Coalition.
Oh, that's so fantastic.
So we share a lot of the same talent. We know that that we've had some concerns about Lansing. All of you, we're going to talk about that this morning.
Yes.
Everyone has been so gracious about our goal to come and help with the dialogue and help with the conversation about.
We do appreciate it very much.
Can you just give us a quick background of what occurred and what the concerns are?
So in March, we, as the Arts Council's perspective sees it, we were notified that a decision was made to eliminate 87 arts, music, and PE instructors from the district. We immediately were on the horn with Americans for the Arts, among other statewide, local, and national arts advocacy groups, and also arts education groups who might be able to help provide some assistance. We have convened the community arts education providers many times and have just completed a survey of the field for our region, which is a best practice first piece.
Wonderful.
So we have a snapshot for what the community arts education providers are offering for after-school activities and for summer opportunities, and then we've also enacted some scholarship opportunities for youth at risk who then can go and enjoy a summer camp at Lansing Art Gallery or the Broad Art Museum or one of our other music providers as well.
So the goal is to go forward.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
to create a plan and to work collaboratively. And I think one thing by us coming to the community, that was our primary goal, is to convene. And you've been so pivotal in that, Barbara.
Well,
Have you met some new people along the way?
Oh, yes. So many wonderful people, actually. And in fact, our community arts education providers had recently said, this has been so helpful for us in terms of isolating gaps in services or potentially even duplication of services and dialoguing with one another about what's happening in our organizations. We're considering retaining the Arts Education Alliance in our region so that we can continue to do such going forth. But also, it's been really incredible. Just a couple of weeks ago, as you know, we convened the Arts Education Community Providers and the district for the first time.
And the
so
district.
This is a nice next step.
Really important. Communities have to come together. There are hard times for many states and communities around the country. True. And a few years ago, the head of the National School Boards Association predicted that these opportunities are going to take a private-public partnership, at least to bridge to new times or better times. So appreciate it.
And so that's what we hope. We're really hoping to leverage additional community support and potentially even funding moving forward. And we really appreciate you helping us open up the dialogue.
Well, that's the most important thing, is building a local coalition. We have some band students, which I'm going to bring into the show, our pre-show here. Our webcast will start right at the top of the hour with our guests. Lots of activity. Let's have all the students come in. All the students. Here we go. This is some students. You have to share this microphone, all right? These are some students that were playing for us with the Everett Jazz Band before. Wow, you got quite a rousing appreciation out there. It was great. So tell us your name, what instrument you play, and how long you've played. Let's just pass the mic down first.
I'm Tristan Walker, and I play the clarinet. I've been playing since 6th grade, so about five years.
My name is Jordan. I play the clarinet, and I've played for 8 years.
Great.
My name's Alexa. I play the flute, and I've been playing for about 5 years.
Were you the one who played the remarkable solo piece that
Yes,
I heard of?
I did play
and
a
what was
solo.
that piece?
It's Fantasy, Pastoral, and Grace by Doppler.
Very beautiful.
Thank
I think
you.
that got quite a cheer from the crowd as well.
Thanks.
So you've played since 6th grade. You must have played since what?
5th grade.
5th grade. Be sure you are on mic when you
5th
speak.
grade.
5th grade. And how long have you?
6th grade.
6th grade. So you got to start early, right? And it obviously is something that you stayed with. So what has it meant to you? And why is it so important that you kind of get up in the morning, do all the things a teenager does to have to get to school, but then there's this music thing in your life. Why does it really matter to you?
Because music was like a outlet. It's where I met like everybody that I know and like my best friends and everything. And it was just I don't know. Instead of like doing sports like normal people, it was just a way to
Sports like normal people?
like normal, yeah. Yeah, it was just I enjoy being a band geek more than anything. So yeah.
Okay. How about you?
It's just kind of become my second family, and like Tristan said, it was like my outlet. So it's just kind of yeah, just
Never gave a thought to passing
Never,
it by. It was
yeah.
just such a glue for being
Yeah.
in school, right? How about you?
I grew up in a musical household. I'd always been listening to music that my dad plays, since he's a musician as well, and so was my grandpa, and so I just kind of grew into it.
A musical Michigan family,
Yes.
right? That's great. So you have the jazz band. What other ensembles are here at Everett High?
There's also a symphonic band and a concert band.
And are you all in those ensembles as well? Symphonic
I'm in
and-
symphonic.
yeah. I'm in symphonic too.
And yeah, I'm in jazz band, obviously.
Because he just
Yeah.
played in
Yeah.
jazz band, right?
Oh yeah, there's marching band and percussion ensemble.
Are you marching now? Is it
Yeah.
marching band season? So you're 8 to 5. You're on the field
Yep.
doing
Yep.
yeah. And it's not so good for the embouchures sometimes,
Yeah.
right? No.
No.
But you've got to be out there.
Yeah.
So is music going to be part of your life as you go forward? Are you going to maybe do a little bit in college or never maybe put it down? Do you have thoughts about that? You're the 12th grader. Who's the 12th grader? You're the 12th grader. No, you can say it. You can start.
Oh, okay.
Even though you're not a senior. you can start.
Yeah, I wish. Music, I may minor in music, but I don't know. I'm not Alexa, so I'm not like a musical genius, so I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know yet. I'm not sure. I kind of want to go forward still in music, but there's other career paths that I'm looking
But
at
you know,
too.
you don't have to major in music.
Yeah.
You don't have to. You know, you can play ukulele. You can play. I was a music
Yeah.
major, and now the only instrument I play is ukulele. So you know, it's once you have the language, you have it for life.
Yeah.
And how about you? I bet with that beautiful flute, you might follow in the family footsteps.
Yeah, I do want to major in performing music.
Great. Do you know where you want to go yet, or do you have your eye on a
No,
flute teacher somewhere that's gonna?
I do have a flute teacher already who I've had since 6th grade, and she's really good. She's awesome.
That's great. Well, she'll help guide you to the right place. You know, it's always perfect for us to hear young people play music in a high school like this. That's what we're working for. We want every child who wants to make music to have the chance to start music early in school and all the way through high school. So you've inspired us, and I hope that this instrument or some instrument will be part of your life for as long as you live, truly.
Thank you.
So we'll have your band director come in and chat with us. Thank you so much. We haven't lost this wonderful band director. Penny, please give us your name and what you do here at Everett High School.
My name is Penny Falanchuk. I'm the director of bands here at Everett High School. I direct a jazz band, a symphonic band, a concert band, and I teach a couple of music appreciation classes.
You have a full day.
I
You
do.
have a full schedule.
Absolutely,
How long
yes.
have you been at Everett?
Since the end of July.
And how long have you been a music teacher?
I've been a music teacher for over 20 years.
Over 20 years.
I had my own studio, and then I joined the Lansing School District in September of 2000.
Oh, wonderful. So how many students here in Everett are involved with music?
We have about 150 kids
150?
total. Yes, we draw kids that aren't even in music classes that just want to be in marching band. So we have them in marching band. We have a color guard as well.
That's great. So is we all know that there's been some challenges in Lansing relative. Has the feeder program, a good high school program depends on those students starting early in
Absolutely does.
4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, and moving up through a high quality middle school. Is there a concern that over time that this is going to impact the high school program if those programs don't come back?
Absolutely.
That's part of the concern, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've seen it already. I taught middle school for several years before coming here. I absolutely see a difference in the level that we start with in middle school. We have very few. We had a little bit of a 5th grade band and strings program last year, but not much. It didn't reach a whole lot of children.
Right,
so
right.
What we had going in last year were very beginners, and that affects, as they go forward into high school, it affects their level of ability. And so we're not playing as high of a quality or not high of ability music in the high school level.
And I know as a seasoned music educator, you know too that it's not just the music that they play, it's the opportunity that they have as children and young people to have that as part of their lives. Again, from your perspective as having done this for really important part of it really is your life's career. Why is it so important for children to have this opportunity? Why do we all we're here together to help support this community to bring it back, to let it be strong again. Why is it so important?
Kids need a reason, I think, to come to school every day. Some kids love math, some kids love English. Some kids make a connection with the arts, and when we cut the arts, then they lose their connection with the rest of their education.
Right.
And so it's so important that if they're able to get in band or visual arts or dance or whatever, they have that connection with school, make a connection with a teacher who feels the way they do about life. It's also a great sense of community within the arts. My kids consider themselves part of another family, and they support each other.
The young people that spoke to us just before you, the 3 band members all said the same thing.
Did they?
Yeah, I mean, they met friends early. They stuck with these friends for years. It's a continuum for them. And our research tells us that students that are involved with music actually have higher retention rates. They come to school more regularly.
Yes, they do.
And they have better graduation rates. So we have to, make some really important decisions to keep this alive for kids across our whole country, not only Lansing. So
it breaks my heart to know that so many kids walk by my door that don't have the opportunity to come through the door and experience music.
Right. Well, online sometime we'll talk about class guitar experiences. And one of the things that's kind of making a wave across the country are classroom guitar programs. So there'd be a way to get those kids that are, walking by the band room door to maybe stop and say, I always wanted to play guitar.
They had that at one of our middle schools for several years.
Yeah,
so,
great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you for all that you do for music education.
Thank you.
And thank you for being here today. I loved hearing the kids play.
And we love having you here. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Take care. Well, let's see. I guess I'm supposed to check my time. Somebody needs to be telling me we have a few more minutes. Jim Allen, my hero.
Hi, Mary. How are you?
This is the guy that made it all happen.
Well, thank you.
That took my phone call.
That's okay. I was glad to do it.
And said, you need to call, and help introduce to Barb and Julie, who's with the Parent Teacher Student Association. And you were out at what time this morning?
4 o'clock in the morning, getting ready, set up for the High School Nation tour.
So are all the buses there? Or almost
we're still waiting for the soundstage bus, the game truck, and the Gibson bus. So they're due to arrive any time now. But the Lennon bus is here.
And we won't miss them when they arrive.
No, they'll be a big presence out there.
They'll be hard to miss. So what is your role here at Everett High School?
I'm the chair of the Performing Arts Department, and I also teach the theater program here.
Great. And how many students are in your program? And are you doing a show this year?
I do. I have 6 classes of about 30 kids each, so that's about 180. For our fall productions, we're doing a children's theater show, Elves and the Shoemaker. Maker, the classic. Children we're taking around to the elementary schools. And in the spring, we're doing Stud's working the musical based on Stud's Turkle book.
Oh, fantastic.
So that'll be our spring musical.
That's great. That's great. So you've been, how long have you been in the Lansing schools?
I've only been here, this is my 9th year. This is a second career for me. I was a professional lighting designer and production manager for dance and theater companies for over 20 years.
So all this must feel really familiar.
Yep.
All this,
I did a lot of one-night stands on tour and stuff like
of
that.
The technical type,
right? Yeah, backstage stuff, right.
So what's been so much fun is that the students that you recruited have been so helpful this morning.
Oh, they're thrilled.
They dove right into all the technology and all the prep work, and they've been great. And the Lennon team's been helping all of them, and actually a few of them are shooting cameras in the back there.
It's been a great experience, and I've already put in a request for a booking for the Lennon tour for the bus next fall to come back and actually do a day of video work with my kids and stuff for next year.
Fantastic.
On their own. So hopefully we'll be able to get them back.
You've also, through organizing the forum, I think you've made some important community connections that might be able to help strengthen the way back here in Lansing.
The crucial part of arts in any school district is your interaction with the community and the synergies between those two groups, the community arts groups and the schools, because we can't do it without one or the other. And too often that's been the case. We've been our own world and they've been their own world, and hopefully now we're seeing that this is a synergy that can offer up some really hopefully exciting things to come in the future.
To rebuild the connections, to rebuild the opportunity
to actually
for
build,
kids.
because we really haven't had those really strong connections in the past, and so I think it's really a chance to get them, really get them up and going more strongly.
So where's your hat?
I put it up on stage.
Okay. I kind of knew that this was the guy in charge this morning early when I saw the hat through the window of the car, and he was directing traffic cones on the parking lot.
That was me.
Great. It was great. Thank you for all you do, and I can tell that we're doing this for the kids that you serve, and you make the connection.
My kids that are working out there are really thrilled, excited. I mean, they're going to eat like the crew. They'll feed them like a real stage crew and stuff like that, which is a really neat experience. And the kids are all hanging out the windows of the school looking and stuff. So they're all really geeked for this.
And the music hasn't even started out there.
They haven't even begun to hear the music yet and see all the fun activities that are planned.
I can't thank you enough for all you've done to help, and the emails that went in the middle of the night, and
I did count up, and I think my emails on this program are somewhere close to 300.
Yeah, well, it sounds about right. In my box too.
Okay, well, thank you.
All right, thank you, Jim. All right, you're so great. And I'd like to have Julie step in. Hello, Julie.
Hello.
This is Julie Potter,
Hello.
who is the president
of the PTSA Association here at Everett High School.
And how long have you been involved with the Parent-Teacher-Student Association?
Here at Everett, this will be my third year.
Your third year?
Yes. And then I was also involved in the middle school level as well.
So they're one of our co-hosts for the forum, and we thank you so much. You offered some wonderful advice on our conference calls and really helped us sort of thread the needle with communicating with the district and the community. Why are parents so important in this dialogue with schools?
I don't think parents understand sometimes how important their voice is. Teachers and administrators, they try their best to get that information out there, but when a group of parents go down to the school board and they express what's important to them for their students and the reason for that, I think that parents carry more weight. And I think that parents don't always understand that that's the case, and I think it's important that they go as a group too. That too, it's not just one parent that's saying this is the changes I think we should make. That you need to find others that have those same visions and take them down to the school board and say this is what we need to see and this is why.
And sometimes we see this relationship between parents and school boards as sometimes full of tension, but it has to start early and be consistent and positive. I mean, there are people who are really working for the same thing, and it's got a complicated process many times. So.
And I agree, and I think that's an important thing that oftentimes the school board also is in a tough position with trying to make the ends meet as well. And if we can go as parents and we can also have solutions, not just problems, not just complaining. If we can go down with solutions of how we can make the things happen that we'd like to see for our students, that helps the school board as well. And I think the school board we have currently also is very receptive to hearing those ideas.
You know, we say in music education advocacy is that a good program is the best advocate. It's very tough to take away services on something that people love, they're supporting, it has visibility, and to celebrate programs is really, really important. So it's a lot of what you're saying is bring it forward, talk about it.
I agree, and I think as we do things like this and other performances or whatever, we need to get that out into the community too, so they can see these are the good things that we're doing, and this is how it's benefiting our students and even, you know, the future of our community.
I can't thank you enough for all that you're doing as a parent. You couldn't be more accurate that the parents are a lot stronger than they know.
Yes, I think so.
And that it's the message to be positive, to be forceful about being positive.
Exactly.
Is really important. And then, you know, there are going to be moments where it may be more decisive or the dialogue may become a little bit more direct. But, you know, we're talking about the opportunity for children here. And how, if we can't unite around that, then something's really wrong with our conversation.
I agree completely. That's always got, regardless of where we're coming at it, that has to be our top concern is our students, our children. Yes.
Well, you know, does a dedicated parent, 2 boys, you said?
Yes, 2
one
boys.
out and one in high school now, right?
Correct. One just graduated last year, and one is a sophomore.
Great,
So,
great.
yeah.
And you're very excited about High School Nation, I understand, right?
Oh, I am. I'm terribly excited.
You're going to jump on that bus, that Lennon bus, and
I am, and I'm going to be here this afternoon so I can see all the other activities going on. I think that is just a huge opportunity for our students to see what they can do and give them opportunities maybe to touch things that they haven't in the past.
Great.
Yes.
Julie, thank you so much for your
welcome.
calm guidance, your wonderful support, and how wonderfully you just did. You just did great. Okay, thank you. I'd like to bring in Mitch Robinson, Dr. Mitch Robinson. This is sort of a reunion, Mitch, isn't it? We should tell everyone the secret.
We've got the band back together.
We got the band back together. We were in graduate school together.
Long time ago for me. A short time ago
for
Mary.
It was a long time ago for me. Very long. We were at State University of New York, Buffalo.
Yep.
And then you went on to a distinguished academic career via.
And you went on to a distinguished development career.
Well, you went to Eastman.
Yep.
And then when I was at a corporate foundation, we actually had a very important collaboration with the Eastman School of Music.
Right.
And I remember you standing in front of a teacher training workshop, and you had this diagram, this thing that expanded, talking about collaboration and the tension between the points of collaboration. What was that called? It
was a model that I used for my dissertation research based on an idea called tensegrity.
Yes.
And we're kind of in the middle of it right here.
Oh, we have. I think what a great segue. We didn't know we were going to do that segue, did we? No, I mean, we are in that moment of partnerships being considered, developed, you know, with the goal of, what is the goal here?
I think the goal is to find a shared vision and a common mission forward. You know, we've had a difficult situation here, and I think good people made hard decisions. What we're looking for now is some kind of a move forward, a way to make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to do for the kids in Lansing, and hopefully a better solution to a temporary problem.
And there's a role for the higher ed to play, there's a role for community to play, community arts organizations?
Yeah, I think the 3 big stakeholders in this kind of a situation are certified arts teachers, certified non-arts teachers, and then people in the local community that have arts expertise. We hope that we're one of those partners in the community.
Well, thank you for being on the panel. We're going to hear more from you on the panel. And
looking forward to it.
Mitch, always great to see you. And hello, Courtney.
Hi.
So lovely to see you. You're
too.
from ArtServe, right?
No, I am from the Lansing Symphony.
The Lansing Symphony. Forgive me.
No,
Forgive
it's fine.
me. It's so
fine.
lovely to see you. Thank
too.
you for being here.
My pleasure.
Mitch was just talking about the role of school, community, higher ed. As a symphony, what is your perspective on how all these ingredients have the opportunity to come together?
Well, as a community arts organization, obviously we spend a lot of time collaborating and seeing what else folks in the community are doing. So there's always an opportunity, you know, and we kind of feel at the end of the spectrum, maybe we're the beneficiaries of arts education and people who sit in our audience.
An informed audience member.
An informed
right?
audience member, or just an entertained and engaged audience member.
Right.
You know, it's anytime somebody's had an experience with music before they come in, it just makes it that much more comfortable and enjoyable for them. So
that's great.
Yeah, and of course then we benefit by having great musicians on the stage too. So,
well, you know, we know that in America the orchestras have had some very rocky times. So the perspective of how you keep moving and how you put things together is also really valuable. And for a school district that's facing some challenges for its support.
Right.
I'd love to hear your thoughts about that. I mean, let's face it, we hear every spring we read about another major orchestra having some problems.
Right, and I think that's where an orchestra like the Lansing Symphony Orchestra is a little bit different because we do have that really strong community connection and work hard through education and outreach to be an integral part of the community. So, but you're right, every year you kind of have to look at it and say, okay, are we meeting the community's needs? Are we meeting our audience needs? What can we do differently? What can we improve on? And not really rely on what we've always done.
And I think that's the dialogue here that we hope to kick off here with the Support Music Community Forum.
Yep.
And I thank you so much for being a part
it's our
of
pleasure.
it.
Thank you for coming.
To see you.
You too.
Okay, thank you. So I'm getting a sign from my great team at the Lennon bus that we're going to move now quickly to our live Support Music Community Forum. Please stand by for our start in just a minute. Thank you so much for hosting the NAMM Foundation and for us to have the opportunity to work with the wonderful folks that we've met here in Lansing to talk about arts, music and arts education and the opportunity for all children to learn music. A special thanks go to our co-hosts for this event, the Lansing School District, the Arts Council of Greater Lansing, and the Everett High School Parent Teacher Student Association. Thank you so much, and let's give them a hand for all of their work. I have to say there were, I think my first calls went to Jim Allen and then to Barb Whitney, and they kind of went, you want to do what? But it was the opportunity and their openness to the idea which has led us to the opportunity to be with all of you here and also to share your conversation as an inspiration to other people around the country. We will be, we are taping this event. We will be posting it afterwards, so I invite you to consider that your words will be thoughtfully appreciated by people everywhere. I also want to acknowledge our remarkable partner in this effort, the John Lennon Educational Tour Bus, which is that big blue thing with a trailer after it. I don't know how you drive one of those things, but out in the parking lot as part of the High School Nation Tour. NAMM has been a proud supporter of the John Lennon Bus for the last 15 years, but this is the first year that we said we're going to go along with the bus and convene people in the morning while this remarkable High School Nation experience is setting up so that we can have a conversation with all of you about the importance of music and arts education. The NAMM Foundation for 10 years has one of its core programs, the Support Music Coalition. And I invite all of you to be a part of this coalition. We are hosted we live on the web. We have a monthly conference call or webcast, and we have 5,500 affiliates around the country. Parents, teachers, school administrators, folks that are concerned and working to keep music education in their community strong. We know that we work on the federal level to advance funding for the arts. We work on the state level to assure funding and access for the arts and arts education. But we know that in local communities, the buck stops here. This is where the key and vital decisions are made and where communities who have the opportunity to work together actually do better in keeping music and arts education strong. So it's my pleasure, and we're so grateful to have here today the superintendent of the Lansing School District, who will just give us a general welcome and share some ideas. Please welcome Yvonne Kamal Kanul.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Wow, that was pronounced just as if you were Mayan. Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for being with us here today. This is such an exciting opportunity for the Lansing School District and for Everett High School to be able to host this prestigious event. The national tour with the John Lennon Music Bus is well known throughout the country as a premier opportunity for students to interact in a meaningful way with the arts. Many thanks to Jim Allen for spearheading and organizing this event on behalf of the Lansing School District. I've been an educator for almost 40 years and have seen a wide variety of changes in our educational system. Choice, charters, rigorous accountability, national standards, and educator evaluation based on student achievement, just to name a few. And each change brings with it a whole set of challenges and shifts in the way things have been done. As you know, many districts in Michigan are suffering from decreasing enrollment. Michigan alone has lost over 25,000 students in the last 3 years, and therefore reduced revenues. We have to make some very difficult and painful decisions about what we can provide our students beyond the core curriculum mandated through testing. This requires us to think differently about how we have offered our students the variety of learning options that have existed in the past. Just so you know about me a little personally, I was raised in Latin America. My father was a cultural attaché, responsible for giving out Fulbright scholarships in Brazil, Mexico, and Chile. And I've had the pleasure of sitting at the feet of famous opera stars and pianists and artists visual performing since the age of 5. My bachelor's degree is in speech and theater, and even in 1973, when I was looking for a teaching job in my specialty, they were hard to find. In fact, so hard to find, I had to go back to college and get a degree in elementary education, where there were plentiful jobs. I guess there is no Act 3 for theater people. Never finish the play, do you? Never open up options for the younger crew. I'm an artist at heart. I have a home filled with artwork from around the world. You come to my office and you'll see a place that is a comfy home where art adorns every wall, nook, and cranny. Even my husband came to the United States on a visa only granted for special talent. He's a traditional Mayan woodcarver. So I, personally, am very committed to the arts as a way to enrich and broaden our lives. Fortunately for Lansing, we have a wonderfully rich artistic community. Given our economic conditions, we thought long and hard about how to offer our elementary children new and different ways of enjoying and learning about the arts and physical fitness. And while our innovative approach is still in its infancy, we feel very confident that the community will support our efforts and join us in designing a model program that involves professional artists, classroom teachers, and specialists in the area of arts and physical education. I think today's event is a step in that direction. There's a saying that I have always loved. It's from a book called The Quotable Woman. It says, and it's by Edna Ferber, "Living the past is a dull and lonely business. Looking back strains the neck muscles, causes you to bump into people not going your way." Thank you for being here with us today. Welcome to the Lansing School District, and as my hero would say, let's give peace a chance.
Thank you so much for being with us. We really appreciate your words. Andy Shore, who is a state representative of the 68th House District, was going to be with us this morning but had a death in the family and could not be with us. So we miss him here because I think we really wanted to hear someone that was in the state legislature. But I urge all of you, and I mean all of you, to call his office, send him an email, write him a letter, and tell him about your experience here today. because I think in a friendly and sharing way, we want him to know that he was missed. And we think that his interest and his response to wanting to be here is a very positive statement, and we're grateful for that. So it's my pleasure to introduce John Bracey, who is the Executive Director of the Michigan Council for Cultural Affairs. John.
Good morning. You all know your danger, right? I mean, there's a government guy in front of you with a microphone. So I have 40 minutes of comments in a form to fill out afterwards. No, really, I'm the Executive Director for the State of Michigan Council for Arts and Cultural Affairs. What a lot of individuals, unless you're part of the arts community, don't really understand sometimes is that the United States has 56 state arts agencies. Every state has a state arts agency, every protectorate, which means DC, Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands. Any geography teachers? Oh, okay. The Northern Marianas, American Samoa, and Guam. Over the years, the state of Michigan has been a leader in this group, and we still continue that leadership role. I serve on the board of directors of the National Assembly State Arts Agencies. I've done task force work for the President's Committee on Arts and Humanities, which, by the way, has an amazing program called Turnaround Schools. So if you get a chance, go online and look at the PCAH program that they're working with schools that have been underachieving or at risk and have turned them around with the arts. Primarily, we're funded through the National Endowment for the Arts and state appropriation. So if the state representative was here, I would say thank you, because in the last couple of years, we've been gaining ground at the state level. At one point in our history, we granted to arts organizations across the state just roughly $26 million. Our low point during the Granholm administration hit at 2009, and we granted $1.8 million. There were some tough times, as everyone was going through. However, the last couple of years, the Snyder administration kind of understands better the role of the arts in terms of community development as well as education, and we've been increasing. In this current year, we'll be granting somewhere near $7.8 million. So it's been pretty good. We have a series of programs. Primarily, we work with arts organizations like the Lansing Symphony, we also have some education programs, and we work with schools as well. The one thing that I would say, because I don't want to take, really, honestly, don't want to take a ton of time, is that the council, which is 15 members that are appointed by the governor, we understand the value of arts education. We have an arts education program this year that's new, where we're supplying artists' residencies, some longer term than others, but artist residencies inside the schools. But we make a very strong distinction between what an artist in residence and an arts educator can do, and what someone who is embedded in the school every day with a strong arts-infused education program in a school, and what they can do. And our programs are designed not to supplant those arts educators, and we never will. I will say that we have sort of a guiding philosophy when it comes to arts education. And we firmly believe, and maybe none of you have read there's a philosopher right now out of Chicago, who Martha Nussbaum. If you get a chance to read anything by Martha, it's amazing work. She wrote a book a little while back called Not for Profit, and really it was not for profit why democracy needs the arts and humanities. And it's amazing what she found in her research. And there's been so much research about this, about how if you don't offer a holistic education to students, your students will be something less than successful. And we all hear about the STEM education, et cetera, and that's great. But honestly, if you don't have in your plan, from pre-education through lifelong education, methods for individuals to be involved, participate in, or directly acting in arts education, you're going to be missing the boat. STEM, and I think we have a professor here in a couple of them. Rex Lamore comes to mind, Robert Rue Bernstein comes to mind at MSU. The fact of the matter is, if you focus on STEM education and only STEM education, you're going to create some really highly skilled workers. But if you want leaders, you want entrepreneurs, you want creative thinkers, which all democracies need, you need to have a holistic education that includes the arts and humanities. And we really embrace that at the Michigan Council for Arts and Cultural Affairs. So we look at our partnerships with education organizations across the state. We continue to do some of this research. And we can only do it because of your support and the support of the state legislature, as well as the monies that we receive from the National Endowment for the Arts. So without really boring you all, I would say just thank you. Thank you for everything that you're doing. Thank you on behalf of the children that aren't even here yet. And I truly appreciate the tax dollars. Thanks.
Thank you, John. Thank you for those inspiring thoughts. Especially, not often do we get to talk about philosophy at a forum, so I'm grateful for that. The SupportMusic Coalition, NAMM, and the NAMM Foundation are grounded in the music industry. NAMM is a 113-year-old music products trade association that has as its primary vision that every child deserves the right to learn music, and every adult should become a defender of that right. It's one of the most important visions that NAMM has refined and directed over the last few years. And it is the reason that we are so strong in our work with music education advocacy. The NAMM Foundation is also a funding organization that provides funds to nonprofit organizations that are doing unique and innovative work in music education. The classroom guitar program that is sort of now sweeping the country on several levels was actually first funded by the NAMM Foundation. A program that integrates guitars into classroom instruction was also first funded by the NAMM Foundation. So we're grateful to the NAMM members that are in every community. They are the manufacturers of musical instruments. They are the distributors of musical materials and publishers of materials. And they also are retailers in your neighborhood. And it's through their combined efforts that we're able to meet and join together to have these important discussions. A group of our NAMM members also come together in what's known as the Music Achievement Council. And I encourage that if you're involved with any type of recruitment this fall of young people that are playing instruments for the first time, to consider their important materials that help guide that process and support parents in understanding what their children are actually experiencing for the first time. And the SupportMusic Coalition throughout the country in various communities, neighborhoods, and once a month on the web or via a conference call, we gather to share best practices in local advocacy, in ways to speak to school boards about the benefits of music education, ways to organize a local coalition, ways to build school and community partners to advance access to music education. And I give our thanks to our steering committee because they have charged this year as being relentlessly positive. We feel we have one of the greatest topics on the planet to talk about, music education and the opportunity for children to learn music. And in that aspect, our work as advocates is every day relentlessly positive. I want to thank our panel for waiting so patiently. We're now going to jump into this official forum part of the program. As you know, we are interactive. We encourage you to chat with each other, pass a microphone around. If you hear something that you would really like to jump in and respond to, the idea is to do just that and don't hold back. And to lay the groundwork, I think your superintendent laid the groundwork very well. We have come to Lansing at a time where there has been some tough decisions made by some very good people. People that had to look at the bottom line and unfortunately make some very challenging decisions about access to arts education in addition to PE. And full-time certified teachers were eliminated from these positions. And this crisis came right to our ear very quickly. We hear about these things happening in communities around the country, and we are very concerned, and we are very, you know, we reach in, again, with relentless positiveness and say, how can we help? How can we be an element of support? So by coming this fall through this convergence of the Lennon bus being here in the high school nation, and that we could have this community forum, was I would say, a negotiation we had at the beginning. That this was not going to be a hand-wringing experience, and the NAMM Foundation would not support a looking back experience. That this was an opportunity to truly look forward. You know, when we all have crises in our families, there's a certain point where we have to embrace radical acceptance, and we have to move forward. And the opportunity for these gifted and devoted people to come together on the stage to represent themselves and their organizations is part of their commitment to be the leaders of an idea to go forward. And I thank you for that, and I thank you for the conversations that we've had on the phone. Because communities have moved forward, and we have seen and are inspired by remarkable reinstatement efforts around the country, and rebuild efforts, and recreation efforts around the country. So we could say that maybe on this day, the last day of September, this was one of those moments where people maybe met each other for the first time, or they exchanged a business card for the first time, or a coalition that was just evolving maybe got its first kind of the turbocharge. So I thank all of you for stepping forward and being part of this. So my first question, and please identify yourselves. We don't have the little tent cards, but please identify yourself so folks here and also on the web know who you are. I welcome ideas from each of you on how you personally and in collaboration with others and other organizations are helping to respond to the need for music education this school year. Let's start with right where we are. Who would like to start with that?
I'm Barb Whitney with the Arts.
Pull the mic a little bit closer. There you go. Yeah.
I'm Barb Whitney with the Arts Council of Greater Lansing. And initially, we recognized that we needed to educate ourselves regarding best practices for arts education advocacy with this type of situation. It was unprecedented in our region. And we went to Americans for the Arts. So without stepping away from the mic, John Bracey and MCA, thank you so much. They funded our attendance at Americans for the Arts through the regional mini grant program. And we went and had the opportunity to speak with national leadership there about these other communities who have had similar circumstances, and we're able to overcome them by collaborating, by communicating, by bringing together people, convening arts and cultural agencies and the district and civic leadership, and moving forward from this kind of situation. So that is what we are attempting to do. And initially, on a small scale, have brought together our community arts education providers, done a survey of the field which isolates gaps and duplication of services, and just September 9th brought together our community arts education providers and representation from the Lansing School District for the first time. So it felt like a big challenge initially, but we're really excited to be making steps forward, and thank you all so much for being a part of it.
Anyone else? What are you doing? So the crisis occurred, and the Arts Council said, all right, radical acceptance, action, right? Jim.
Jim Allen. I'm chair of the Performing Arts Department here at Everett. I think in the past, when times were really good for schools, we figured we could just do it ourselves, and there was very little work with the community. And now we're hoping to build a synergy with the community that I think is really going to add a lot to the opportunities for our kids and bringing in things that we never have done before. And I think that's going to be a real benefit to us.
That's great. You know, crisis creates opportunity. Crisis, you know, it depends on your point of view and your attitude, right? Is it a crisis? Is it an opportunity? Anyone else? How are you helping this year? This year, the crisis is here. The change is here. Please.
Yes, and my name is Sarah Gonzalez-Triplett, and I am the Director of Public Policy for ArtServe Michigan, and I come to the table with a little bit different perspective. We are the statewide nonprofit organization leading advocacy for the arts, culture, arts education, and the creative economy in Michigan. So with that little bit of different perspective, we monitor and advocate for public policy that would advance that would ensure access to arts education at the state and federal level. We are also, much like you discussed, within your organization, we are establishing those tools, determining those tools, and connecting with grassroots advocates, those organizations and individuals, grass tops and grassroots supporters. In this particular instance, had the opportunity in previous years to work with the Arts Council of Greater Lansing, and had many conversations here with Barb, who's been wonderful with what's happening in the Lansing School District. But really, this is an issue that's been happening all across the state. So really learning from the conversation that's happening here in the community and identifying those things that have worked, that haven't worked, and really appreciate the opportunity to be here so we can share this information with other organizations and other school districts across the state.
So you are establishing sort of a clearinghouse.
Absolutely.
So in other words, yes, school district A over here lost all of its elementary music teachers. Oh, that's just like school district C over here. And then in that process, then you can help knit some solutions together. Is that also part of?
That is absolutely, absolutely what we do. And on top of that, we like to we connect individuals so they can learn from one another.
So how can people reach you? Let's don't be shy to, because this is a great resource. I want to make sure other states are aware of. Again, what we try to do in the coalition is to model. Well, the advocacy effort that happens in one school district can really be, someone in another school district can hear it and go, oh, I could do that. In other words, we try to demystify the process of making connections and apps. So where are you located on the web that we could see some of your work?
Absolutely. No, thank you. We are ArtServe Michigan, and we are online at artservemichigan.org. Anybody is welcome to contact me. I'm Sarah at artservemichigan.org, so you can reach me there.
So don't leave the website to go look at that website. Don't leave the webcast. But, we'll have all this available in our notes post. It's great.
Absolutely, and anybody's welcome to contact me. That's one of the ways that, made the connection here. ArtServe Michigan has had that connection, but made the connection with other school districts in the same type of situation.
So this is interesting that it's coming right from the state economic sort of policy, right?
Yes.
I mean, when you got sort of the state's businesses and the state's industry, on your side around a topic, that's a point of leverage. That's a point of bringing the business people to the table, because that a student that goes through a well-rounded and dynamic education is going to make a contribution to the state. So, very interesting. Barb, want to add something?
Yes, and even more so, I wanted to say thanks for Sarah for providing all of the information about contacting legislators and city officials and getting in touch with those folks. But wanted to point out the Creative State report that has been incredibly helpful for us. I had mentioned Americans for the Arts earlier, and ArtServe is very similar to Americans for the Arts in many ways and provides us with this incredible resource that we can take to legislators and talk about not just how our future students are going to impact the arts, but how our arts organizations are doing so. Talking about more than $2 billion in tourism in the arts and so on and so forth. So I just wanted to point that out.
So how many in the room, I'm an old teacher, so I make this interactive. I got to make sure you're learning here, right? How many in the room have actually, and you don't have to raise your hand, you can maybe not, so have actually visited with the state legislature on this topic? A few heads are nodding. I mean, that's a call to action also for you and your neighbors and your community to start not only to have these positive, relentlessly positive dialogues with your local leaders, your school administrators, and your school board, but then to take it up to the state legislature and take it up from a fact-based, relentlessly positive perspective. We're helping some states actually do drive-ins for music education to bring folks. Is there an opportunity here through ArtServe to actually go to the legislature and have an Arts Advocacy Day?
Absolutely. That is something that we're planning for the future. We're also planning to do this year because this topic is so important with so many things happening with education in the state of Michigan. We are doing an Arts Education Summit, which will hopefully be a statewide summit to bring together those business individuals, schools, educators, lawmakers to have that discussion. So that's happening later this year. And there's also an opportunity for folks to travel to Washington, D.C. and engage with their congressional members for the National Arts Advocacy Day, and that's in March.
That's in March. So would you keep us posted about the Michigan Day?
Absolutely.
Because we would definitely want our Michigan members in here, our NAMM members, to be well informed in the opportunity, because again, this is the business sector that comes to bear. Professor, what's happening from the higher ed side to help assure that music education this year has an opportunity to stay strong in Lansing?
Yeah, my name is Mitch Robinson. I'm the chair of the music education area at Michigan State University. First, I want to thank Mary, Barb, and Jim for inviting me to be part of the panel. I feel a little bit like I'm back at school. There's no one in the first two rows and no one's making eye contact, so thank you for welcoming me here in that way. I also want to just point out a couple of things. We heard, I think maybe Jim said this a little bit earlier, or the superintendent talked about STEM. Nod your head if you've heard of STEM, right? So that's this kind of technology and engineering, and I think we know a lot of emphasis is paid to STEM. I guess I like the acronym STEAM a little bit better, and that puts the A for arts into STEM. And the arts are, I want to clarify this as well, the arts are part of the core in education. So we hear a lot of people talk about how we have to focus on the core and we just don't have the resources for things that are outside the core. The arts are part of the core. And I agree with everything that I heard the superintendent and Mary say this morning, and I want to see us get back to that point as soon as we can. As far as what higher ed or any of our arts partners can do to address the situation that we're in right now, I think one of the first things you do when there's a problem is figure out who is involved, who are the stakeholders, and what are your roles and responsibilities. So all of the research on arts education indicates that there are three primary stakeholders in solid, comprehensive, and sequential arts education programs. There are certified arts and music teachers. There are certified non-arts teachers, that's classroom teachers. And then there are people in the community that play a very important role, the symphony, the arts organizations, the museums, the organizations that these fine people represent. We need all of these groups working together. So my first suggestion for how we can help kind of get ourselves moving forward is to make sure that we know what each person's roles and responsibilities are, and make sure that we have people inhabiting all of those roles and responsibilities in the school district.
And Mitch, I will say, is a sort of an expert in the whole idea of collaboration, having worked with him over the years on various collaborations. And you're absolutely right, is to define, and it seems like there's a lot of work that's already been going on. Barb, did you want to add something? I see a Venn diagram.
Venn diagram, which I love. Anytime I can provide a visual, I really like to, as a visual person. And this is amazing. It doesn't just show the certified arts educators, the certified non-arts educators, and the community arts providers, but it talks about how they operate, and it also shows how they integrate, and those important pieces, how they interact. We have this up on our website, and also Americans for the Arts does as well.
And your website, Barb, just so we don't miss that?
LansingArts.org.
And Mitch, how do we get to your website if we want to go back to college?
Michigan State.
All right,
Go green.
Right. Jim.
I just wanted to add and confirm and reinforce what Mitch said about the arts. Arnie Duncan has sent out a letter saying the arts are one of the core subjects in education in high schools, and yet we still have the electives tag put on the arts, and I think we need to put the core into the arts, and once that will start changing people's perspective on how they view the arts and how the students view the arts, if it's understand it's one of their core subjects, not an elective that's off there. And one other thing that I say that I've done, or we've done here in the theater department, is that we were approached by a local foundation, which for the last 4 years has provided funding for our musical. So every year they provide a grant to help us do our musical. So that has been a big help.
You know, as you set your local and regional advocacy agenda, you may think, well, we have to ask for all these sort of complicated monetary things. But to have that restated on the state and local level, this district recognizes and designates the arts as part of the core curriculum can be a very, very, very significant step to all the things that you really want. And that actually happened in the authorization of No Child Left Behind in 2000. And that was a hard-fought battle to make sure that that language was that crisp. And when we went through other earlier financial crises, that language was sometimes the reason that a program was not diminished. So when you say, you know, the power of the pen and the power of the checkbook, you know, if you would, you know, organize with that maybe as a first step of reality. So, you know, going beyond the elective, you know, why is a core academic subject an elective? Or else there should be some part of the core where they have that music and art experience that is required or part of the whole education for all students, and then they branch off into specialties. Julie, as a parent, I know we're being very sort of abstract up into the advocacy side, but you have a perspective about this. I know you do.
Yes, my name is Julie Potter, and I'm the president of the PTSA here at Everett High School. And I think that's one of the things that we see a lot is that as parents and students as well, that we see this as all high level. You know, the federal government's doing it, the state's doing it. You know, we don't have funding because the state's not giving us money, or whatever our excuses might be, valid or not, that we need to recognize that as students and as parents that we have a voice, that we can make a difference. We can support all of these guys that do the high level stuff, that we can do that. And I think sometimes we forget that we can do that, and not just parents, students too, especially here at Everett High School, where we want desperately to have a visual and performing arts school. Somehow we need to get that information out, that in order for us to succeed, these are certain things that we need to have. And I think, again, we need to recognize that we do have a voice and that we can make a difference.
Mitch.
I'd just like to, first of all, thank you for that comment, and maybe ask us to flip around that rhetoric a bit. I think sometimes we think the high-level stuff is what's happening in the colleges and in the foundations. I would suggest that the strongest educational experiences that kids are going to have in the arts are happening at the elementary level. That provides the foundation. So I would like us to flip that rhetoric around. The highest level of learning that we can provide to children, and that we have an obligation and a responsibility to provide to kids, is what happens in the earliest grades. In a sense, we're kind of at this point trying to come up with solutions to keep things at Everett or the other high schools in the district without having a foundational program in the early grades. So I agree with you 100%, and also would like to see that kind of attention and value placed on what's happening in the early grades, because without that, we're not going to see what happens out in the hallway. The jazz band this morning sounded terrific. There was a young lady, I don't know her name, who played the flute. She sounded amazing. That's a recruiting opportunity for us. We'll be going and talk to her a little bit later. But without comprehensive music and arts instruction in the early grades, those kinds of things aren't going to magically appear here in 5, 6, 7 years. So I think we need to be very careful when we think about our responsibilities that we're not making permanent decisions right now based on temporary problems. And so I'm really happy to be here as part of an ongoing discussion about what we can do as we move forward to try to reach some kind of a mutual solution.
Bravo. Thank you. Thank you. The SupportMusic Coalition, from its founding, has supported standards-based sequential music education taught by highly qualified teachers. The it doesn't mean that there isn't a strong role for the community arts organizations. But to your point, Mitch, the essence of what we feel is vital to children's literacy, wellness, well-being, health, thriving, is being surrounded, being in a school with high-quality teachers. And children are also wired for music. They come into the world with this natural facility and this ability to express and create. And to sort of squander that opportunity, for them to have this opportunity early in life, is something that we have to be very careful not to mess with. I think is part of what you're helping us with. So going on to another question. So as you all start to work together, and I'm already feeling more hopeful because of all the things that you've said, and the very good work that's occurring on various levels here. Is the goal to sort of go back to what you had? I mean, I'm sure a lot of it was really good. Or what is the opportunity to bring these services back, build a plan where the services are actually strong, starting in the early grades with highly qualified teachers, to something that is maybe the model or a new model for implementation of music education? Let's just jump around the table. Who would like to start?
I'll give that a stab.
Okay.
Okay. Just as a house in Alaska is going to look different than a house in Hawaii, but provide the same functions, educational programs should be different and unique in each place that they spring up. So whether we decide to reinstate a program in Lansing that looked exactly like it was before or not, as Mary said before, every challenge that we have is an opportunity. So the opportunity we have here is to rebuild a music and art program here that makes sense and fits organically in the schools and the community here. I'm very gratified to be part of this coalition, and unfortunately these coalitions only seem to kind of emerge when there are problems, right? It's like families seem to get together whenever there are big events, weddings and job changes and things. So we've had a kind of a traumatic event here. The good news is that now we have our family back together, and our family is going to do some good things moving forward. I think we have an opportunity to rebuild something here on a very strong foundation, and I would love to be a part of doing that. Whether it looks exactly like it was before or not, I think that should be up to the people in Lansing. It shouldn't be a national decision. It's a local decision, and there's plenty of people here that have a clear vision of what they want to do.
So, because I know you well, I'm going to lead you down a little path. What are some of the ingredients of the new way forward? It's just like if we were all around a big table and you started throwing some things on the table.
Well,
what could it look like?
Yeah, the superintendent laid out, I think, a pretty clear picture of some of the issues that all schools have struggled with for the past 8 or 9 years. An unfortunate narrowing of the curriculum. Some approaches to teaching that many of us who are older in the profession were taught were absolutely forbidden. Teaching to the test has now really become kind of status quo. I think the arts have never been more important for kids in schools than right now. The arts give us a way to think about things creatively rather than recreatively, and the arts give kids a way to figure out what to do when they don't know what to do. That's different than a lot of the education that we have right now, where kids come in, sit down in quiet rows, have their hands folded, take tests. It's not that way in every class, and it's not that way in most good classes. So the way forward, I think, is a focus on music and art education, physical education, media that engages kids as learners, as active learners, constructing their own knowledge and being creative, displaying convergent thinking rather than divergent thinking, how to figure out an answer when there's more than one right answer to a question. These are the things that the arts do better than any other discipline. And when we don't have those things in their education, kids are diminished.
Thanks, Mitch. Barb.
I think I'd like to step in at that point and say that what I think has been missing at times in our community is telling the story. And we know the benefits of art education, and education that is regular, sequential, and curriculum-based. It changes the whole school culture. And we know that through studies, and we can prove that but we can also tell specific stories and we can engage the community. So I see this as an opportunity for us to grow the table and engage the community in the conversation about why the arts education piece is so important, not just to each individual student, but to our community as a whole, to the sense of place of our community and placemaking opportunities, to economic development, to use all of our arsenal of arguments, but to use it to the benefit of the students, to keep the students in the center, and then to move forward going that way.
So to ultimately, you know, and telling the story has never been easier in one sense because we have this social media and these Facebook portals and these campaigns that you could run, and you know, the whole Twitter stuff. And I mean, never have we had more of an opportunity to tell the story, the precious story. You know, we had 3 students speak on our pre-webcast show here, and to hear them, I mean, it's just undeniable why this is important. But again, all of that leading to, and I'm going to hold you a little bit to my question, is all that leading to Plan A being that we bring back a teacher that is available to all first graders across the district, or a teacher that and then at the middle. You know, I'm trying to actually get you to some concrete here. Anyone want to offer up an idea of what this could look like?
Well, I mean, the way the music programs in the schools now are ensemble-based. We have bands, we have orchestras, we have choruses, especially at the secondary level. What we're starting to see more of, and which could spring up in a more fertile ground, are very creative outlets for kids. Songwriting, composition, arranging, improvising, still playing instruments and making music, but now making music that's relevant to the kids. Sometimes the music that we're having them make is less relevant to their own lives. So I think that's one kind of specific thing that we could be doing in schools.
Great. Jim?
I think one of the things that we were talking about was in terms of a temporary solution to a permanent problem, or a permanent solution to a temporary problem, is that what we have here is an opportunity to really develop a real synergy between the community, not just until, but forever. And I think that that's what's our end game. Our end game is forever. And whatever that forever ends up being, it needs to be something that we're going to stay with, not that we're just going to do until this happens, or until this happens, a teacher comes back or whatever. It's something that will stay with the schools, because we can't. Once we get the partnership going, that's what we need to benefit from. And if we just say, okay, well, we're going to do this for a couple years until things change around, that's
just be the Band-Aid until all the teachers are back.
It's going to lose an opportunity that we have here to really become involved community-wise. And one of the things interesting that happened to me in my class is we were doing a math problem. It was in Theater Y, but it was a level 5 SAT math problem, and the kids were all trying to figure out math and trying to figure out the things. And one of the kids that got it right by drawing a picture, visualizing it artistically, and said, okay, well, if you do this and this, and that's how they solved the problem. And that's what Mitch was talking about talking about thinkers that think creatively. Thinking as an artist and as a person, it's will help you in all areas, not just math and or just in arts, but in math and how you do everything else in life. So that's why arts are so important.
So when I come back and see you maybe in a year, when the Lennon bus is back, we had all sorts of dreams going on. It'd be wonderful to know where you are in a year in terms of this plan. Because there again, I think we need to know from the perspective of other communities how this is working, how it's working for you, and what you're learning from each other, and what the intermediate goal is. It may be we will have set the goals and the benchmarks. There will be a certified teacher in every elementary school, not serving as many hours as we hope, not having the hands-on student contact. It won't be ideal, but it'll be an embedding. It'll be a process forward.
Right, and I think that in terms of leveraging support, we need to, if we go forward with the community foundations or other other ways that we can garner support moving forward and establish relationships that will be long-term. We need to be able to say to those folks, yes, this is a dire situation. We'd love to have your support now and for the long term, but we need to do it knowing that certified art specialists will be returning to the classrooms. It's just such an important piece, and I can't not say it.
Well, it's also, if it is a core academic subject, it needs to be funded with core academic dollars. And that's, you know, that's just part of the expectation. Any other thoughts about this, about the rebuild, the model?
Well, I think what we've done today is a very important first step. We've started a conversation. Whenever you have a problem, you have to first define who's involved, what the responsibilities are, and then start talking about it. So today we've started talking about the problem, and I think I want to really thank the school district for providing this forum and for NAMM for making it happen. I would hope that in a year we've continued the discussion and that we're starting to see a clearer path forward that involves all three parts of that three-legged stool involved, and that we're doing what's right for kids.
Mary, one of the other things you said was that you hoped we exchanged business cards and met one another today. And I am going to give my card to the district superintendent. She asked for it. So that's a big step.
It's a big step, and we're so grateful for that. It's the beginning of the, and let's face it, the family does come together over a crisis, and then all the problems in the family also surface. So, you know, it's keeping the eye on the prize, keeping the eye on why you're doing it, and the benefit that we ultimately want to bring to all children. I grew up in that state that's on the other side of Lake Michigan, in Wisconsin. And I grew up in a very, very modest community, a rural community. And I look back on the education opportunity that I was provided, and I consider it to be a miracle. I have no idea why people that at that time now are the age I am now made the decisions they did to provide for my education. And it was the most precious gift that I could have been given. So when we make these decisions as adults, and we fight and we knock around ideas and policies, but we have to realize, are we really doing the best that we can do? And even when there are challenges like finances and not enough money trickling down through various conduits to fund education, that we say, all right, radical acceptance, what are we going to do to make sure this gets done? And then rebuild into the future with reasonable benchmarks, and to make sure that the kids have what they need. It absolutely is in our hands. I don't think we've been better equipped. When I think of the data that you're collecting and the economic influence that's coming down, the skill sets that's sitting in higher ed, a parent base that's understanding the community connections. I mean, we had to come here to Lansing and tell people what was really going on. I think it's really, really powerful. Mitch, I have a question for you. You're training music teachers to come out into the profession. As they see all these challenges with accountability and testing and the realities of the schools, are they less involved or engaged in their desire to be music teachers?
No, I think they're more involved and engaged. I think teachers they're a really interesting group of people. They don't go into this because they're afraid of challenges. They go into it because they embrace challenges. So I think they see this. Our goal as music teacher educators is to make decisions about how much we tell them, right? Because the typical college student is not reading the newspaper, and they don't know. They're very happy that Obama was elected, but they hadn't heard about it, right? So, they aren't always up on current affairs. They're really busy at school. Their noses to the grindstone. We make daily decisions about how much do we protect them and how much do we make them aware. And in our department, we've made a conscious decision that we think that they need to be aware of what's happening out in the schools. They need to know what they're getting into. But we also tell them that if you're the kind of person that wants to be needed, and most teachers are, this is the best time. I'm jealous of them. This is the best time to go into schools, especially as an arts teacher. Education right now needs arts. We are the antidote for what else is happening in classrooms in the schools. Narrowing of the curriculum, teaching to the test. The arts are the antidote for that. So when I see schools that don't have that antidote, I feel like I need to get out there and give them the antidote. So I think they're more excited. They're aware, and they are clear about what the challenges are, but I think they see themselves as part of the solution.
And we hope this batch of new teachers also looks to the Support Music Coalition as an entity that's really there to be relentlessly positive for them. We've run through our questions, so does anyone just want to kind of free-form and add something? Anyone?
I got my 2 cents.
Okay. Anyone? Please, Julie.
All right. I kind of want to share an experience. For me, I'm a little bit older, so I actually attended a junior high, and I got into art in junior high. In fact, I discovered that my junior high art teacher is in the audience. But you know, all through, starting with, then it was 7th grade, all through high school, I was involved in arts. And I have no special talent, okay, but it gave me an outlet. It gave me an opportunity to be creative, you know, in my own way, you know. And I think that that's something that we're denying our students today. That there's lots of avenues that should be available to them that are being taken away, even though there may be reasons behind it. I'm not sure that they're good reasons that are behind it. And I think sometimes we underestimate what simply being able to you know, use all the crayons in the crayon box can mean to a student. You know, all those colors and what that can bring out in you know, their being, that we need to make sure that they still have that. And I do agree, even though I didn't say that with Mitch, that yes, I think it's critical that we start in elementary school, because I see from the music standpoint, if they don't have it in elementary school, and then they might start in the middle school and they're trying to learn, or maybe they don't even get it there and they don't start to the high school, then they're already behind. And so we need to start that as early as possible, and we need to move forward, you know, use what we've learned in the past, but move forward and not focus so much on what was, but what can be. Thanks.
Jim.
I think back over, you know, my teachers that I had, and there were several teachers that I think back, wow, that was a great teacher, that was a great teacher. But the one teacher that has influenced my life, obviously, was Woody Hansen, my high school theater teacher. And if it hadn't been for him, you know, I wouldn't have been in this career that I've been in since forever. So he can have a huge effect on your life, and so that's, you know, that's what art has really meant to me.
That's great. Any final thoughts, please, Sarah?
Well, go ahead.
Sarah, and then we'll end with you, Mitch.
I wanted to speak to something Mitch said earlier, so maybe this is, you know, I think that it's important for the community as well to support arts education teachers. I think that's it, you know, that there's so many folks coming into the profession, but they deserve community support, and I really believe that it's a collaboration between, you know, the community, certified arts teachers, you know, teachers, general education teachers, really coming together and providing that support, because unfortunately we are operating, you know, in a time where there are many school districts that see the arts as, you know, nice but not essential. So unfortunately we need to have that support, because otherwise arts education teachers, you know, really end up in a situation where they may be pit against, you know, a music teacher, pit against a theater teacher. So to come together and say it's a comprehensive, not everybody learns the same way, you know, and not everybody comes to art in the same way, and the various aspects of an arts education really can do wonders in many different aspects. As far as, you know, music education, we talk about, you know, how important it is for improving, you know, math scores, you know, but through the various, you know, ways that we are involved in arts education, that, you know, they improve the overall education for students.
Right. Barb, do you have a final thought?
Sure. I wanted to say that I think ultimately we all hope that certified art specialists return to the classroom. And I think that by being able to articulate that in this forum, it gives us power. It gives us collective power. And it's important to be able to say that out loud. That is one of our goals. I think that we should work toward envisioning a commitment to bringing the teachers back. And I think by doing that, we can leverage all kinds of support. We can leverage funding. We can invest people in what's happening and have them be a part of it. And I'm very hopeful that this will come to fruition. Even Mitch said in a year. I'm saying no. I'm saying sooner. I'm working on it. I'll keep you posted.
Okay. Mitch, you want to?
Well, Mary said that she felt that her education was a miracle. I think every kid's education is a miracle. I think it's important and critical that that miracle be a possibility for every child. And right now I'm afraid that for some kids that miracle isn't a possibility. It's our responsibility to make sure that those miracles can happen. I think it's even more important in our urban schools. And so I would say that this kind of a move is disproportionately more damaging here than it would be in places where the community and other people can step forward and provide those resources. So I guess my goal would be, in short order, that those miracles are restored and that each kid has the opportunity for full and rich education.
Thank you. Please thank our panel. What a great job they did. So in closing, I have 2 requests. Can we get the band back together next fall? Can we come back? I'd love to come back to Lansing. We don't have to webcast or make it all fancy schmancy, but I'd love to come back and just visit with you and maybe involve some of our NAMM members along the way. I'd love to know about the Arts Ed Summit that you're planning. And my last word is really 2 words, is to pursue all of you in Lansing, to pursue Title I. Now, since 2009, the U.S. Secretary of Education or his offices have issued 3 letters designating the use of title funds for arts education. And if there's something up the line that is stuck and not allowing this gate to open, that's part of the advocacy and the conversation to be had. I can't thank you enough for hosting the NAMM Foundation, the SupportMusic Community Forum here in Lansing. It's meant the world to us to be here with all of you and to also hear your optimism, your relentless positiveness about going forward. We do want to stay close to your story. We want to share in your work the hard parts and the successes and the benchmarks, because it really is a story that many communities need to face, are facing, or will face. So thank you all for being here. There's still coffee and a little noshes in the back of the room. Enjoy them. We'll be online again Thursday morning from Pittsburgh and Friday morning from Philadelphia. So if you can't get enough of this kind of conversation, we'll be back on a webcast. And for all of you that joined us on the webcast, thank you so much, and thanks for your efforts to keep music education strong. Have a great day, everybody.